listening to We Watch Movies.
I'm Ava.
And I'm Jenna.
And we watch movies. So this week we watched The Prom, which is a musical comedy that came out on December 4th. And it came on Netflix just recently. And yeah, so I think just because this is a musical and you are such a stickler for movie soundtracks, I think we should start there. So Jenna, tell me, what were your thoughts about the soundtrack?
I enjoyed the soundtrack. I watched the movie, and then I stayed up way too late watching the movie. And then the next day, because we weren't recording, I actually went back, and because this was originally a Broadway musical, I went and listened to the Broadway soundtrack just to compare the two. But, like, both soundtracks were really good, and I actually had a really fun time listening to them.
Something I really appreciated about this soundtrack, it's not really about the soundtrack itself, but something that really bothers me when people do musical movies is when they, like, cast actors who suck at singing or who are, like, passable at singing, and they just cast them because they're cool actors. But then, like, in this one you have, like, Nicole Kidman. So the big name cast members are, like, Nicole Kidman, and they have Meryl Streep. And, I mean, obviously Meryl Streep is awesome in every way possible. But, like, you know, she did, like, Mamma Mia and stuff. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know a lot about what Nicole Kidman has done. But then you also have, like, James Corden and stuff. James Corden, not Gordon. That's a different person. But from what I heard of them, they didn't suck. And honestly, I mean, yeah, I don't think they dubbed anybody like they did in Greatest Show, or Greatest Showman, sorry. But they were, like, actually good singers, which I appreciated.
So I'm gonna table that dig on The Greatest Showman for a little bit. We could just put that on a shelf somewhere. We don't need to get into that right now. But yeah, no, I agree. Like, the soundtrack itself was just, like, really, like, popish, and, like, the movie itself was very colorful, and the soundtrack as well was just really vibrant. And I think, like, every song almost was just really fun, and it really brought an energy to this movie that I think without some of the joy that the soundtrack kind of brought, the movie definitely would have fallen more flat than it did.
Yeah, and I think it had a very like timeless sound, but also a unique sound, I guess, because it had, like, it was unmistakably its own thing, but it also sounded in other ways like every other musical, which I think was really interesting, because I'm not saying that in a bad way, like, in the best way possible, because it's all about Broadway. Well, it's not all about Broadway, but there's a lot to do with Broadway, and it's got this, like, gaudy New York musical theater themes about it. And I think they really, really nailed that with their songs. Especially the instrumentation. Like, it was spot on.
I was about to bring that up, and then you brought it up. So, yeah, like, the instrumentation, like, as you said, was spot on. It was really great, and, like, I don't really like it when songs rely too heavily on the singer. There are exceptions, obviously, and I'm not saying that, like, every song that doesn't have instruments is bad, because singers are good at what they do most of the time, hopefully. But at the same time, like, a song can feel really empty without the instruments, and especially in a musical setting, this movie just did a really great job of, like, blending the two of them and bringing the songs to life.
Okay, so if you don't like music without instruments, are you, like, digging at Pitch Perfect right now?
There are exceptions, Ava. I'm talking more so, like, I've reviewed a couple pop albums in my day, and there are some albums that really strip back instruments for no reason, and they just sound so hollow, and just, they're not a fun time. They sound like a party that no one goes to. So I'm always glad when, like, movies and albums actually use good instrumentation in their work.
Speaking of a party that no one goes to,
Oh no!
This show did a lot. It played a lot with emotion because obviously it was a. Would you call it a dramedy or just a comedy?
I think it was a dramedy.
Yeah, there were some like most of the time it was like quirky and funny and stuff, but then there were these like a couple of moments when it would just like get really emotional, and it would be kind of shocking because like you'd go from like, I don't know, them like shopping in the mall and having a bunch of fun, and then all of a sudden it's like she got pranked by the entire town and was sent to a prom by herself because she's gay. Or like there's this other one where like, oh, they're singing about the Bible and stuff, and it's really funny, it's a funny song, and then there's like this reunion between the guy and his mother that was really emotional. And I don't think all of these are like in the exact order that I'm saying that they were, but like you get the idea.
Yeah, like the plotting of this movie was kind of all over the place, and like I don't want to say the pacing was bad, but the pacing was definitely unexpected. But yeah, like this movie is kind of like a roller coaster, and I don't mean that in the good way I generally always do. Like it kind of like just hurdles you along into plot points without really like building up the proper emotions to them, so things can kind of come out of nowhere and the tone can change like drastically, and then it changes again. But then we're back where we started, so it got a little weird sometimes.
I do think though there was a lot of purposeful tone changes, and it's something that you see in if you've seen La La Land, which
Yes.
That movie had significantly worse singers, but I think it was a pretty decent movie. But like the distinct tone changes of when you would see it go from like the realistic world and then turn into, you could see when it turned into that fantasy musical theater world, which I kind of I really appreciated it, because it was cool because, you know, like the way that they showed New York and they showed Broadway, that's obviously not what it looks like in real life. Like, I mean, it is pretty glamorous, but it's not like glowing fuchsia in every corner. So it was very clear when things were more of a fantasy, and same thing with the scene at the PTA meeting when she like took over and had her song and stuff. So it was stuff like that I think was really cool because it made it feel more like a musical, you know?
Yeah, like you could almost like feel like the set changes happening, even if the set itself was the same. Like at the PTA meeting, like you go from regular PTA meeting to Dee Dee Allen singing at the PTA meeting on stage, even though it's the same set, which I thought was pretty interesting because it really focuses on like Broadway and actors as a part of the plot, so it made it pretty interesting to see that on film.
And when a movie can do that really well, when it's translating a stage play to a film setting, that's really great, because I didn't know it was actually a Broadway show until somebody told me, like, after I watched it. Like I didn't know that. Which is kind of like I'm gonna say it's kind of like the same thing with book movies, where and I'm sorry if I trigger any book nerds, Jenna included, but I feel like adaptations, like movie adaptations of anything, books, plays, whatever, it should translate well and be enjoyable for anyone, regardless of if they've seen that play or if they've read the book or if they even know that it's based on a book or play in the first place.
Exactly, and it should also understand both the source material and what they're translating it to, which I feel like this movie does a fairly decent job of. And I mean, I really don't know that much about the original play, so I don't know how much of this movie was like directly translated, and I don't know if they changed anything major. Like, I don't really know any of that, but it didn't feel like too heavily like either derived or changed. Like, it didn't feel unnatural. Like, it felt like it was a story written for this exact movie and nothing else.
Do you know when the play was originally written, or when it originally was on Broadway?
A while ago, definitely like maybe like 2017, 2018.
Okay, well, if it was several years ago, let me see. I just need to check something. Okay, so it was like 2017.
Yeah, it was on Broadway in 2018, and I think it was written in like 2016-ish.
Okay, you know what came out in 2018 that I was kind of reminded of, and by this movie, and I don't know why, but it was kind of uncomfortable.
What?
Sierra Burgess is a loser.
Wait a minute,
Okay.
Why was I just thinking about that movie? It wasn't... Wait. I was watching something and I was like, wait a minute, why does this remind me of Sierra Burgess is a loser? It wasn't this. Okay, but explain.
Okay, well, first of all, I think that the girl who played Emma looked kind of similar to Sierra, but like different. But that's not the reason. It was her song, Unruly Heart, and how they handled that in the plot, where she like posted online and it goes viral because like she's an outcast in her school, so she makes this song about how she's different, and yeah, and then it goes online and it goes viral and everybody's happy. That like exact plot thing happens in Sierra Burgess, except with her song Sunflower, which is significantly worse than Unruly Heart, but still, It felt like it was kind of in the same vein.
Yeah, I mean, but I think, like, thematically speaking, I feel like the whole scene with Unruly Heart makes sense for the story that they were telling. But that is, like, a really common trope, and I don't know why, because, like, I'm thinking of, like, other things, and, like, for some reason, like, the idea of, like, main character sings a song or does something, and it goes viral, and now things happen towards the end of whatever you're watching. Like, when did this become a trope?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a good way to tell if you're the main character. Like, if either of us were the main character, these would be viral.
Oh, well, clearly. Wait, so if we're not the main character, who is the main character?
I don't know, probably like Charlie D'Amelio or somebody.
That makes sense.
But, okay, if we're speaking of tropes in this movie, they tried like really hard to make Emma look gay. Because honestly, in a school, if there's a school that's going to cancel prom over a girl being gay, what do you think they would do about a girl wearing a hat in the hallways?
You're right, I didn't even think of that. I guess if they're gonna go so far as to cancel prom over that, then you would think that they would go, like, full crazy on someone wearing a hat in the hallway, but I guess the PTA wasn't there to see it.
Like, they were like, okay, so I'm not trying to stereotype gay women, but like the stereotypical clothes that they would wear, you know, and they followed that to like a T when they were dressing this girl, and it was, I don't know, it was kind of weird. It's like, I don't know, it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if we're gonna get into that conversation, we could probably also talk about James Corden in this movie, because that was one of my big complaints. I kind of wish he wasn't in this movie.
Tell me about that. Tell me more.
I don't know, like, it kind of just rubbed me the wrong... Like, okay, first of all, I just want to say I'm not that big of a fan of James Corden, the actor. I mean, he is probably a nice person in real life. I don't mean anything against him personally, because I don't know him. But, I don't know, like, him being in this movie kind of just rubbed me the wrong way, because he was playing a gay character as a straight man, and the character was like portrayed in a very stereotypical way, and I don't know, it just felt wrong. Something just rubbed against me the wrong way, and I don't know, I just wish that the movie had taken more consideration into who they cast for that role.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the character was originally written, and if James Corden's portrayal of him was more stereotypical. But I don't. I obviously think that there should be more representation of the LGBT community on the big screen. Obviously, like for actors. But I feel like. I don't know, I feel like gatekeeping who plays which character based on sexuality, and I know that's not what you're trying to do, unless you were.
No. Yes, that's another good conversation, because I feel like that happens a lot, where people kind of can't make up their minds if they're trying to gatekeep who plays who, and, like, I don't know, I feel like it's just a fine line between, like, who should play who, because, like, in a perfect world, we wouldn't really have to worry about that. But I feel like sometimes there are times where it would probably come off worse if you're trying to do one thing when you should be doing another thing. But anyway, I did not mean to totally retcon what you were saying, so please continue.
Well, I think the person who said this was, I think it was Kristen Stewart, but she is a gay woman, and somebody said something about how only gay people should be allowed to play gay people, and then she responded with, well, then I would never be able to play straight women. And I feel like there are two sides to the coin that a lot of people never really think about, and I feel like it's more I feel like it's more visible when you're thinking about like a trans character and a trans actress, like how we had a trans character with a trans actress in the Life Ahead, but we don't get that many trans characters as it is, which kind of sucks. But people often don't think about like where, I don't know how to put this. There's just a lot of gatekeeping in the world in general, I guess. And I feel like when it comes to playing a character, like, where do you draw the line of what's okay? Like, I mean, if you have an evil character, do you need an evil actor to play that? No, obviously you don't. If you need like but then if you need like a gay character, do you need a gay actor to portray that? I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of the LGBT community, but I think it is a good conversation for us to have. But I don't think anybody should be gatekept from certain characters, I guess.
I agree, and I wasn't trying to come off like I was like gatekeeping, because I agree.
Oh, no, you're not.
Like, I agree, it is like a complicated thing that I don't have to deal with because I'm not like a movie director or casting person. But I do think that that like a straight person could play a gay character. There are examples of this happening, and that person does a really good job of portraying who they're trying to be as a character, and that is sensitive to the material and also the community that they're representing. And obviously gay people have played straight people as well, so I don't think it's necessarily that one person can't portray someone else because they don't identify that way or are not something. But I think they just have to remember, like any person representing a community that they might not be a part of, that they need to put the research and the work into it and remember that they are representing other people that deserve to have their voices heard and their stories told, but they just have to be sensitive to what they're doing and understand that there are lines that shouldn't be crossed and things that they have to know.
Yeah, and then the sensitivity thing comes into question when you're writing as well, because obviously I mean, obviously people come in all different shapes and sizes, and they behave differently. People express themselves differently. So the character of Barry, I know you didn't like that he was more stereotypical, and then for me, the character of Emma, I didn't like because she was more stereotypical. So there were some stereotypes here, but then also there are people who are stereotypes, or not okay, not are stereotypes, but express themselves more similarly to the stereotype. So there are probably people in the world who do express themselves similarly to Barry, and then there are probably people in the world who express themselves similarly to Emma. So it's just in general, sensitivity, I feel like it's just a really hard thing to navigate in like the world of the internet and entertainment business as well. So I don't think anything that they did was like too bad.
No, I
but
agree.
like there was, yeah. I mean, you're never gonna be able to fully escape a stereotype when you're writing something, and you're never gonna be able to. There's never gonna be a movie or something that 100% is stereotype free, and there's not gonna be a person in the world who is 100% stereotype free. Like in their brain, there's always gonna be that like when you. I guess when you like meet somebody in general, the first thing, your first impression of them when you see them, just without like, if you, like say you see somebody and you don't talk to them, your first impression of them, that's like inevitably based on stereotypes, which is it blows my mind to me to think that you can like form an opinion on somebody, even though it's not like a valid opinion, but you can form an opinion on somebody like just by looking at them before you get to meet them, and everybody inevitably does, like instinctually, you know?
Yeah, like it's the preconceptions we can have on people and how they relate to how we behave is really interesting, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with being a stereotype or a cliche. I mean, obviously it depends on like what stereotype you're talking about, but like just hasty generalization here, like there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. It's just that when you're talking about media, I feel like there's a double standard there with representation. I don't know, I feel like this whole conversation could be like defined as like a slippery slope argument where like things are just so gray, and like you open one door and then you start talking about it, and then you talk about something else and it's like a direct contradiction, and I don't know, it's weird, but this movie I think did a pretty good job with representation as a whole.
Yeah.
And
the tangents are coming on hot and heavy really early in this. But yeah, I think overall the movie was pretty feel good, and I mean it did. I think just in general it did bring representation to the screen, and it did show us like different experiences that real people have gone through. Because obviously there are real people who have been rejected by their parents after coming out. There have been real people who struggle with themselves or have been ostracized from their parents, like and so seeing that on the screen is really important, I think, too, because it's really important to show sort of different walks of life than most of the time you would see.
Yeah, and I feel like some people like kind of forget that like just because like gay marriage is something that happened in 2016, and sometimes people forget that there are still struggles for the LGBTQ plus community that they kind of don't think of, because they think, oh, everything got better in 2016, when that's really not true. So I'm always kind of glad when movies or books or TV shows will take a moment to like remind the audience that there are still reasons that we have to like protect that community, and that there are still problems that they're facing.
Oh my god, but you know what I did love about this movie?
What?
How they showed that people can change their opinions and it not be like taboo, I guess. Because I feel like there are sometimes when people like will have an incorrect opinion, and then they'll get called out on it, and then they'll change that opinion, and they'll realize that they're wrong, and people will be like, no, you're just changing your opinion because we called you out on it. Which, like, in that case, why are you why are you trying to call them out on it if you're gonna get mad for them changing their opinion? But in this movie, it was shown, like, people weren't attacking the people who were anti-LGBT. There were people who were hating on the LGBT community, and our main characters, they weren't attacking them. But, like, if you saw in Love Thy Neighbor, I think the song was called, they had, like, this conversation where it was, like, pointing out the flaws in the girl's argument. I was like, hey, maybe you should consider the fact that this is a person that you're being mean to. And then they were like, that actually makes sense, and I feel bad, and I have remorse for what I did. And same thing happened with Alyssa's mom after she came out. Like, I mean, she struggled with accepting it, and then when her daughter, like, came out, she realized, this is still a person that I love, and it doesn't matter who she loves. And then same thing happened with Barry's mom. Like, there were these different examples of people who were more conservative, and then they realized that that's not the end-all be-all of the world, your first opinions. And after they changed their opinions, they were welcomed by the rest of the cast, and I think that was great.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes this movie was, like, a little hasty to show that process, but at the same time, I get that it fit the narrative they were trying to tell. So I'm kind of okay with them, like, moving that timeline along a little faster, but I also wouldn't have really minded if they had shown that sometimes that process can be a long one that is not always the most nice to be on either end of the receiving end of. I don't know what that sentence was.
Well, I think they did. They did show that a little bit with Barry's mom, because that was, like, years after he came out, and then they finally talked, and even his dad still wasn't there yet, but his mom was, like, after years asking for forgiveness. And I think that, Alyssa's mom wasn't fully there yet to be fully accepting of her sexuality yet, but she was accepting her daughter. And then obviously the Shelby and Kaylee and the two guys, I think theirs was rushed because it was in the form of a song. But I think it definitely did show it taking a long time, particularly with Barry's parents in that scenario.
Yeah. Speaking of Love Thy Neighbor, can I just say, it was pretty late by the time I got to that scene, and I thought it was the best. I don't know why. I was trying so hard not to just cackle in my room watching this movie with my Christmas lights on. Like, I don't know. For whatever reason, it just hit me in the right place at that moment. Like, do you have a favorite song from this movie?
I really liked The Ladies Improving, but Love Thy Neighbor is up there too. I don't know, I think I liked The Ladies Improving because they were hyping it up the whole time and I was waiting for it, and also Meryl Streep is a goddess, and I love her, and she can do no wrong. So, yeah, I also thought it was really funny how in that scene they just had, like, these high school guys just gawking the whole time.
Yeah. I'm trying to decide if that's totally accurate or totally inaccurate for high school.
If it was some random Broadway star and we were thinking about our high school, I don't think they would, but if it was Meryl Streep, I think they would.
But if we're gonna talk about inaccurate, can I just say, no high school principal has an office that big. I'm sorry. No. I get that you needed it for a set, but I was just like, what kind of budget do you have to have an office this big, my good sir?
Well, I mean, he didn't really have a wall, though.
Fair point.
He didn't really have a door.
But it was so long.
It was like a slidey... Yeah, but it was like but it connected to the receptionist office. And it was like a slidey thing and didn't really have a door. Which, like, I mean, that must be fun when you're, like, waiting to go into the principal's office and you're listening to the guy in front of you get, like, screamed at. And you're, like, sitting there and all you can hear is, "Young man, you suck."
10 out of 10.
Okay, I don't think that's how principals talk, but, like, yeah.
We wouldn't know. We've never been sent to the principal's office before.
I've only been to the principal's office for good things and for tattling on people.
Honestly, same.
Oh my god. We're nerds.
We are.
Yeah.
We're good nerds.
Yeah, leave a like if you're a nerd.
Yeah. Nerds unite.
Also like if you're not a nerd. Because
if you're not a nerd
it.
and you don't want to be a nerd and you dislike this video, then you're a nerd.
Yeah. And thus, if you dislike this video, then you become a nerd, and consequently you have to like the video. Because you're a nerd. Mm-hmm. So, the only way to secure your not nerddom is to like the video.
But if you're a nerd and you like this video, you're all set. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Whew. Okay. Let's see. I feel like I did like Alyssa Green's song. I feel like that kind of got me more than Unruly Heart, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Unruly Heart, but, like, it was fine. It worked for the narrative, but I agree. I feel like the Alyssa Green song, like, was more unexpected, too. That, like, you kind of don't know that much about this character throughout the movie, and then she sings her song about what it's like to be her, and you're like, oh, wait a minute here.
Yeah, and I mean, her character was, like, a big example of a lot of people who don't feel comfortable coming out. And I mean, obviously Emma didn't feel words. Her parents weren't accepting of her, and so her coming out didn't go very well. But then there was Alyssa, who had this whole nother family dynamic, and she is worried about her mother accepting her more than anything else in the world. And I know that's the situation for a lot of people, and that's why like when you force somebody to come out, it's so bad and such a garbage thing to do, like because people need to come around to that when they're ready. Which, I mean, like, I would never try to push somebody into doing that, which is something that kind of bothered me about Emma. Because, I mean, I get that she, like, really wanted to be out with her girlfriend, but also, like, that's not something that I think you should pressure somebody to do, you know?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree, and I've definitely seen worse cases of that in other things, and I feel like this movie did try to, like, point out that, like, they had both planned to come out at this one moment together. Well, yeah, technically just one of them, but they had, like, made this plan and they had both agreed on it, so I feel like it wasn't, like, as much of a push and more so a you're backing out on me for reasons that I do understand. So I feel like but I also don't think that Emma was completely wrong to want to separate after that, because one, she was just pretty humiliated and down at that moment, and also it's also not fair to have your significant other, like, live a life that's also secret. Like, I don't know, I feel like there's, like, a balance there between safely being in the closet and also not leading the person you're dating on.
Yeah, no, I understand, I understood her breaking up with her, but, So I feel like that was probably just a communication thing between them, and Alyssa should have been a little bit more open about her hesitation. But like, I totally see when during Alyssa's song, I was like there was a lot that I could relate to, with like you're trying to please your parents and everything, and then there's like you don't want to, because there have been times when like people, like my friends would go one way, but then I would be like worried because maybe they have less strict parents or something. I don't know, but that kind of like that scene where she was at the dance, obviously it was kind of a garbage thing for her not to go see Emma, but also I kind of understand the position she was in, where like her mom has like this iron grip kind of thing.
Yeah, like I don't know what anyone would really do in that position, and I don't even know like how much it boils down to like your commitment to the person you're dating, and more so just like who you are as a person. And like I don't know, like that's like a hard thing to do. And while I don't think it was unreasonable for Emma to ask that, I also don't think it was unreasonable that Alyssa couldn't do that in that moment.
So even though it's like Indiana and it's a conservative area, I find it really hard to believe that their entire school would do that to Emma. And so I don't think everybody was fully aware that they were leaving Emma out, but I feel like there would definitely be people who wouldn't be okay with that. I wouldn't be okay with just leaving her behind.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm looking at my bookshelf right now, and this is actually not the first piece of media I've consumed this year about a prom in Indiana being fairly homophobic. So I don't know what that says
Jenna's
about
just
me.
eating books.
But I'm pretty sure part of this was based off of something that happened in real life. I'm checking that now.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I don't know how much happened in real life, but there was definitely something.
I think something like that happened kind of recently near where we are, because certain Catholic all-girls school, I think they were having for their prom or something, they wouldn't let a girl take her girlfriend, which like I get that there's like that Catholicness to it, but still like that's messed up. And I think I remember like signing one of those online petitions about it. I don't remember when that was though, but I feel like it was.
I'm looking at
either like
Wikipedia for the original play, and it's saying in like 2010 there was an instance where someone wanted to bring their girlfriend, but the school decided to ban them from attending, so they canceled prom entirely.
Yeah, I feel like stuff like that has happened in a lot of places. Because people can't just accept that people love people, and it sucks.
Come on, people.
Hot take from Ava. Homophobia sucks.
Yeah, homophobia is not a good look. Like, you need to work that stuff out.
Guys, I'm just like a revolutionary in these
No.
in these podcasts. I mean, what did I say in the other one? I said like racism is bad.
I mean, they're all true statements that you all should agree with.
I mean, yeah. Also, can we just like appreciate the level of Karen in the PTA?
Oh my god.
In this movie. Like, oh man, Karen, my computer wife, has nothing on her.
What was Alyssa's mom's name?
Karen. I don't know.
I mean, I would be so mad if it wasn't Karen.
Let's see. I'm on the cast right now. Her name is Mrs. Green. So, I hereby do declare her name is Karen Green.
Yep. Court of law. It happened.
Yes. And if anybody that you know, that if you're listening to this and you know somebody who thinks that her name isn't Karen Green, just like tell them to listen to this. Like tell them to give it a good listen. You know, don't tell them the timestamp of when we make this declaration, so they have to listen to the whole thing. and yeah, good to go, right?
Like, I just want to say, if you are named Karen, I don't automatically think that you're a Karen. Just want to throw that out there, because I know some lovely people named Karen who are not actually Karens, but some people are Karens.
Was Ariana Grande supposed to be in this movie?
Are you looking at an article that, like, talks about the casting of this movie, but they have a picture of Ariana Grande?
Well, she's in the cast on Google, and it says, "What happened to the Prom's Ariana Grande scene? Fans disappointed by cast error."
Oh, because the girl who played Alyssa, her name is Ariana something. Can't think of it off the top of my head. Like, so maybe there was some syntax error about Ariana Grande? I have no idea.
Ariana Grande was this is a quote from HITC. It says, quote, "Ariana Grande was originally set to star in the film when it was first announced, but Billboard reports that the singer backed out as the production conflicted with her tour schedule. The film was filmed before coronavirus impacted it."
But who was Ariana Grande cast as?
Let me see. I think it... she was going to play Alyssa. And they replaced her with another Alyssa. Or no, they placed her with another Ariana to play Alyssa.
I'm running through scenes through this movie trying to imagine Ariana Grande in that role.
I would have hated it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I mean, yeah, she's a good singer, but I don't think that she's like a... and I know she's from Broadway originally. Like, that's where she came from. And I appreciate that. I feel like she's too infamous, I guess, for this kind of a role at this point. Because, I mean, obviously, you know, you have Meryl Streep, who is, like, also has a lot of clout, like Ariana Grande, but she has clout for these kinds of roles. You know, she's an actress, she plays musical characters. Putting Ariana Grande in this, it would be, like, really strange. And not that she wouldn't do a good job, because I know she started out as a musical theater actress, but I don't know, it would have just been weird.
Yeah, I agree. Oh man, I had this whole line of thought that I thought of, but now it's just Ariana Grande. Oh, can I just say, I don't like dances, I don't know. I went to homecoming once. That was an experience that I don't think I liked very much. But can I just say that the prom at the end of this movie looked really nice, and I probably would have gone to it if I could have.
Oh yeah, I think that was part of the, like how I mentioned before, how they would change into, like, these fantasy scenes. I think that was definitely one of them, because they would never be able to transform the gym that well. But, like, okay, a lot of school dances are kind of lame, but I really romanticize the idea of a prom, probably too much for my own good. But, like, I don't know, because I know this year that there, like, might not be a prom, or if they do, it's gonna be, like, a weird prom. And it's kind of sad, because, like, I've been kind of looking forward to prom for a really long time.
Ava, we're gonna have a prom at some point. I don't think it's logistically possible for us to not have prom. But it is unfortunate that so many people are missing out on this experience that lots of people like you look forward to. So, like, I definitely feel for that, and I mean, I want to have a prom at least. I want to go. Don't know if I'll regret that choice, but I mean, I still want that experience.
I want a prom dress.
I want to see people happy and having fun. And also, I will admit, sometimes I like looking at like the dresses people wear, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice dress. Sometimes, not always, but...
I've been growing a Pinterest board of prom dresses for years now.
Dear.
I'll be honest.
I mean, I don't know, I'll probably buy a new dress for prom.
I don't know. I really want one. And it's not it. I'm sorry, my dog is knocking at my door and it's really awkward.
I can't even hear your dog.
Okay, well I can't. 1 second. Entertain the podcast.
Hello podcast. Just want to say that, like, I'm not hating on prom and people who love prom. I don't know. Have fun. I mean, don't have proms right now, especially if you're in America, because COVID-19 exists and is... Don't socialize with people. It's not safe yet. Sorry, this isn't entertaining, isn't it?
I'm back. Anyways, my dog is here now. He's very quiet, but he's here now in spirit.
Dog.
Yes. He's great. He's gonna be my prom date.
Oh, that's... Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, imagine a Zoom prom. How would that work?
I mean, that's what people did this year. They had Zoom proms.
Okay, no. This year, a bunch of people got together and had a prom at somebody's house, and they all slept in tents together.
I mean, but that's
after
nice.
Prom. Well, it was a bunch of drunk high schoolers who all slept in tents together as couples.
Oh, well then maybe that's not as good. But like...
In the time of COVID.
Yeah, no, then never mind.
I don't think they had masks.
Yeah, no, redact that statement. I want to see people working masks into their prom, like, outfits if they have to. Like, I know that's not everyone's, like, idea of, like, an ideal prom outfit, but, like, I don't know when this vaccine is coming and what all of this is gonna look like, but if it's kind of safe to have prom and it's happening, I feel like that would be kind of fun.
Getting like, no, they're gonna start selling the prom dresses with like matching masks and like jack the prices up by $50. Don't give the fashion industry ideas, because they're gonna do it. They're gonna make it a cash grab.
Fashion shows where the models are like wearing like masks that the designers made for them during COVID for this. Like, some of the masks are like, you kind of miss the point of what the mask is supposed to do, because it's just like, it's not like actually a mask at all. Like, I don't know. I find that really funny.
I have not, unfortunately, but I know what I'm going to be Googling later. That sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I do think that the prom that they showed in this was really cool looking, and it reminded me of something. I know that they have like actual inclusive proms in real life. Like they'll I know a couple people I think who went to an inclusive prom 1 year. I don't remember which year. But like I think it's a really cool thing that those exist. You know, because I know a lot of people don't feel safe at like a school dance or something to express themselves or, you know, be with a romantic partner and be open about it. And so I think it's really great that they have places like that you can go to express yourself and celebrate, you know, you and your partner, or just have a good time in general. Because I mean, that's what like prom's supposed to be, right? It's not supposed to be like a political thing.
I didn't know that those, like, really existed regularly.
Yeah, I don't know where they take place, and I mean, honestly, I kind of want to go to them because they look really fun. But like, yeah, I don't know. They look really cool. They're just a bunch of people loving life and being who they are inside and who they're always meant to be. And yeah, it's just, I think it's everything that a prom should be. And it's great. And yeah, and I think there should be more stuff like that. There should be, or just in general, I mean, everything should be inclusive, but in like situations where, I mean, you know that it's not going to be inclusive, like there's gonna be people who are snobs about it or whatever. If you make one that is inclusive, and it sucks that you have to like separate them, but I feel like there should be inclusive options in just like in general, so that people always feel safe when they're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, like in a perfect world, that isn't like a conversation you would have to have. It would just be something that occurs, but obviously we don't live in a perfect world, so in the interim, I think it's really cool that such things exist and allow for people to live life in the way that they were born to and in a way that's safe and accepting for them.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't care if you don't agree with how somebody's living their life. If the way that you are treating that person because of the way that they're living their life makes them feel unsafe, then you are in the wrong, regardless. Like, even if it says somewhere in your religion that what they're doing is wrong, if they don't practice that religion, you can't force it upon them. And you can't make them feel unsafe. Like, that, you don't have that right. You just, in general, you don't have the right to make somebody else feel unsafe. And I don't care if that's just from like pushing pushing boundaries when you're trying to romance a girl in the dance floor or something, or if that's like actually shouting slurs at somebody just for walking down the street. Like, be conscious of people, I guess, and understand and be accommodating for people who have different beliefs than you. Because if you're allowed to shout your beliefs at them, then what makes you think that they're not allowed to exist in their beliefs, you know?
Like, in a Twilight Zone-esque change of reality, who's to say that the roles couldn't be switched in some way, and then things look a little bit different when you think about it that way. So it's just...
Oh my god, that's like... Oh,
sorry. No,
you
keep going.
Oh no, it reminded me of this part in Love, Simon, where he was thinking about if straight people had to come out as straight.
But like...
It's like, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, like reality shift, like... It's kind of just a luck of the draw that happened like centuries ago, that like this is what was perceived as okay and this was perceived as what was not, when like that's not true. Like, people are allowed to live how they want to, and just because you don't believe that doesn't mean that gives you the right in any capacity to hinder that person's existence. And I understand that for some people that it's something that is like really ingrained into who they are, and it's hard to change, and that it's not just something they can switch on and off. But even if someone is making like the conscious effort to learn and grow and not be that person anymore, then they're on the right track. But if you don't make any sort of effort whatsoever and you treat it as a non-issue, then that's really not okay. And in the words of like my new national anthem, Love Thy Neighbor, like, don't cherry pick things in the Bible that you believe, or any religion. Like, just doesn't give you the right to be a bad person. That's not...
Yeah, so hot take. sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism, and the rest are bad. You're welcome for enlightening you.
Thank you.
Anyways, I think that's a good note to end on. So if you guys liked this video, I know we went on a lot of tangents this time, but like that's what we always do, and you get used to it. But if you liked what we had to say, then yeah, like the video, comment what you thought, and subscribe so you don't miss out. We post a video every Sunday. We post a podcast every like Wednesday, except for this one's probably gonna come out on Thursday, because of like scheduling stuff. But since a video comes out on Sunday, that means that Jenna's video is coming out on Sunday, and you should watch that.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Anyways, thank you all for watching. Jenna, got anything to add?
No, thanks for watching. Have a good day. Stay safe.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.